On today's Into Your Head, Spider-Man uses the doorbell, Tom Cruise's flawed abbreviation, why all comparisons are pointless, putting houses on wheels, defining the outside world, the advantages of receiving military honours at your own funeral, happy medium puns, and lots more. Into your head. Join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's Into Your Head, number 678. We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of this crushed Diet Coke caffeine-free bottle. Well, that's not true. There'll be no topics coming out of any caffeine-free beverage. Luckily, I was using it to wash down a couple of caffeine pills, so that's why. It's pretty much cancelled the beverage and the capsules cancel each other out. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully the caffeine element of the caffeine pills will override the caffeine-free. After all, it may be a caffeine-free beverage, but it's not a negative caffeine. It doesn't negative caffeinate me, especially if I'm washing down coffee. Is this making any sense? It probably isn't. That's good. It's not supposed to make sense. This isn't frigging This Week in Tech with Leo Laporte and what's his face, John C. Dvorak and whoever else is on it. No, this isn't anything else. This is this. If you're comparing this to anything else, then you're sadly misguided. You shouldn't be comparing. In fact, you shouldn't compare anything to anything else. Anything by definition is not the same as anything else. If you want to compare anything to anything, you need to compare it to itself, not to anything else. Because the first thing you do when you compare any item to any other item, the first thing that happens is that you immediately notice that the other item isn't that item, so they already have a 100% difference. So there's no comparison at all. No comparison whatsoever. You see this on the supermarket advertisements on the TV. They come on and say, compare our prices to the other supermarket. And you go and do that and you find that the prices in the other supermarket are for another supermarket. So you can't compare them. You can't say, compare our Tesco price with Aldi's Tesco price. Oh no, Aldi doesn't have a Tesco price, although they probably have an ad comparing prices. This is knocking against the microphone. This needs to stop. My wire is tangled. It's a tangled web we weave in life, and my headphone cord is trying to tangle itself into a web. It's a good start because it's white. It's close enough to grey, so it may look like a very big spider's web, a particularly thick one with double cables in it. Maybe Spider-Man is taking over the Into Your Head studio. It seems unlikely because the window is closed. He'd have to get in the window, although it'd be quite easy for him to climb up. Even my cats can get up to this window. They just have to go up onto the interstate highway wall, then across the side gate, and then onto the little bit of roof that's over their front door, and then they can just climb up to the window. But either cats or Spider-Man, neither of them can gain access to this room unless the window is open, or unless I suppose they ring the doorbell. Why would Spider-Man ring the doorbell? I suppose because he's a law-abiding citizen and doesn't just break into houses of benign people like me, and not some frigging Mr. Dr. Evil who he's trying to chase down. No, Spider-Man would have no reason to break into my house unless things change and I become evil, which I suppose could happen. Maybe I'll become over-caffeinated and start becoming an evildoer. Seems likely, but it hasn't happened yet. And this isn't that frigging movie where with the future crime things. So fuck off out of that with your crap. What's his name out of the future? What's his name? Tom? No. what's his face out of the future crime movie? Your man with the weird religion thing and the cult and the Tom Cruise. That's his name. Tom Cruise. Cruise of the Tomness. Look at me. My name's Tom and I cruise around the place and I have a name. Tom is probably short for something. Is it short for Thomas, which has a H? So it's not only short, it's misspelt. It should be TH. At least your man out of Radiohead spells it THOM. So that's a reasonable abbreviation. The rest of the Toms, though, no, they take out the H and they say, oh, my name's Tom. It's Tom for Thomas, short for Thomas. That's like saying my name's Philip and it's short for Aloysius. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anyway, two Spider-Mans walk into a bar. One of the Spider-Mans goes straight up to the bar counter and whispers to the barman. He whispers, hello, don't look now, but is there a fella behind me who looks like me and looks like he's trying to imitate me and trying to pass himself off as Spider-Man? And the man behind the bar says, well, he just told me not to look now, so how can I tell? And Spider-Man says, well, I assume you were looking before I started whispering to you. You're a person who's aware of his surroundings and takes in all around him. And the man behind the bar says, how do I know you're not a fake Spider-Man, and how do I know the other one's not real, or maybe you're both fake or you're both real? And Spider-Man says, well, because the narrator just said Spider-Man says, and he was talking about me talking now, so it's obvious that it's me now. And the man behind the bar says, I suppose you have a point there, Spider-Man, but you're not known for your if you don't mind me saying so, you're not known for your intellectual prowess. You're known for climbing up buildings and having some nuclear accident or something that makes you spidery. Even spiders aren't known for their intelligence, or are they? Maybe they're not. Clearly, I don't know them for their intelligence, so that would indicate that they're not known for their intelligence, although I'm open to be stood corrected on that, and if you're able to stand be corrected on that, that would imply that you're more intelligent than I thought, which would in itself correct me, but not if you're just correcting me just for the sake of trying to fake prove a point, if you get my drift. And Spider-Man says, I'm sorry to have bothered you, sir or madam. I'm going to go back down to my seat now and send the other Spider-Man up. And the other Spider-Man comes up and says, hello, was there a fellow up here a moment ago asking you whether I was behind him and whether I was a real Spider-Man? And the man behind the bar says, what in the name of Christ is going on here? And the other Spider-Man says, I don't know, that's what I'm trying to establish here. I'm making inquiries. If I find out what's going on here, I'll let you know. Until then, I'm afraid I know very little more than you do, although you probably know more than I do about the bar trade. So we all have our specializations. Currently, I'm specializing in amassing information about why there appears to be two Spider-Mans in the bar at the moment, and you're specializing in the prices of whiskey and vodka. He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a Southern Comfort drink, he drinks the songs that remind him of the good times, he sings a song that's property of the band Chumbawamba. Oh, Danny boy, something, cry for me. That's the songs from the 1990s. That's what young people used to listen to on the radio in the 1990s. And the man behind the bar says, I must say, you're not what I imagined Spider-Man to be. And Spider-Man says, keep that to yourself if you don't mind. I have a reputation to keep up here. And the man behind the bar says, oh, that's none of my business. That's fine. And Spider-Man says, well, if it's none of your business, keep your fucking trap shut, or I'll kick the shit out of you, or I'll wrap you up in my tangled web that I've woven throughout my life. And the man behind the bar says, I've had enough of this crap. And the Spider-Man says, so have I, let's move on. And the man behind the bar says, fair enough, next customer please. And the next customer comes up and says, "Oh, I've never heard a barman run a place like that before, shouting, 'Next customer, please.'" Usually they just nod over at people across the bar as if to say, "How may I help you?" And usually the way that he can help them is by giving them a beverage of some kind, but that's implied. Anyway, on with the show.
Hello, this is J. Edgar Casey, and whenever I am listening to fine podcasts, I tune into the Into Your Head program because it's very clean.
Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener. Email Neal at studio@intoyourhead.com.
Now, Let's get something straight here. This is the third episode of Into Your Head this week. That's if you take Sunday as being the first day of the week, which many people do. Although when I put Sunday's show out, I was thinking of Sunday as being the last day of last week, because unless it is, there would have been only one show last week. So I count Sundays towards last week's, and I count Mondays towards this week's, and I count today's towards this week's too. Although this will probably be the last show until next week, not least because my internet's about to be cut off for a couple of days. I still have mobile internet, don't worry, but my house isn't mobile, so I can't be using my mobile internet for my house all the time for all this crap, because my house is not portable. It's not a freaking caravan. My house is basically a house. It's a house. It's not on wheels. Not that there's anything wrong with a house on wheels, but if you were to put this house onto wheels, it would be a lot less stable, because it was built as a ground-based house. It's dug into the ground. It's got foundations. No, this wouldn't be a suitable house to put on wheels. There are plenty of suitable houses that you can put on wheels. Usually, though, they're built on wheels in the first place, or else they're loaded by a crane onto the back of a truck, which has wheels. So no, let's not get... Anyway, suffice to say, this will be the last show until next week. Next week, weekular of the nextness, or will it? Here's a question for you. I probably will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. I don't know how the future works, because I haven't been there yet. I don't have the benefit of psychic ability or future sight or future crime determination. I'm not frigging Tom Cruise. I'm not Kevin Bacon either. I'm not, what else am I not? I'm not George Bush Sr. or George H.W.P. Bush. That's George Bush's senior name. He's the one with all the extra initials. And then the one that came after him, his son, they gave him less initials. They said, "Oh, I'm George W." The fella before me was George W.H. or H.W. or something. And then as generations go on, they have less letters in them, because we're becoming simpler. We're becoming simpler people, thanks to the abundance of technology to assist us. People don't have to have extra long names anymore. They just bump iPhones together and say, "I don't know who you are, but let's bump iPhones together and then I'll know who you are." My brain doesn't have to get involved in this at all. No, we've no need for brains anymore. We can have muscle and brawn instead. Brawn being it's a place out in Carlow, about 15 miles from here, where there's a brawn factory. I believe they make hair dryers and some such items. You go out to Carlow and you're on your way out along the ring road, and the first thing you see is a big factory with Brawn written on it. Although that closed down a couple of years ago, I can't remember now. Things closed down a lot around here, especially when we're deep in recession. We're receding back into ourselves, away from the economies of the world. Anyway, on with the show. Once upon a time, there was a house on wheels salesperson, and the house on wheels salesperson in the spare time was also a Spider-Man impersonator and enthusiast, because there's no point being a Spider-Man impersonator or any other celebrity impersonator unless you're an enthusiast for that celebrity as well. You don't want the worst thing you could possibly have at a party is to have a Spider-Man impersonator who you've paid to turn up up, but he's not enthusiastic and he hates Spider-Man. Although I suppose if he's acting, that's fine. You can act enthusiastically. No, I take back what I just said. Anyway, the Spider-Man enthusiast stroke, what did I say, house on wheels salesperson goes up to someone's front door one day and he rings the doorbell, and a fella turns up to the door and says, "Oh, hello, I recognise you from somewhere. Are you Spider-Man?" And the Spider-Man impersonator says, "Indeed I am, in my spare time. Although I wouldn't call that spare time. If I'm using my spare time to do that stuff, then it's no longer spare." But you get the idea. But no, I'm hearing my capacity as something else. I don't want to reveal yet, because I want to do my little pitch and work up to it. I don't want to just say immediately that I'm a salesperson. And the man who answers the door says, "Oh, too late. And then he points at the sign beside the door, which says, "No sales calls." And the other sign below it that says, pointing at this sign and saying, "Don't worry, I'm not a sales call. Doesn't work if it is a sales call." And then he slams the door in his face, and the Spider-Man fella goes away all downhearted and depressed, thinking, "Christ, I can't even do that properly." Although in fairness, I did go to a house that was that made clear from a sign on the door that they're not into being accommodating towards salespeople. So I suppose I should at least give myself a half a chance by going to a house that doesn't have a no sales call sign. But where's the challenge in that? For Christ's sake, I'm Spider-Man, and I can't even take the challenge of trying to sell to somewhere where they're not open to sales calls. Although I suppose I'm not here for the challenge. I'm here to earn a living, so I can support myself. And also, I'm not the real Spider-Man. I must remember that. I'm probably being over-enthusiastic. There's such a thing as being enthusiastic about being a Spider-Man impersonator, but there's also such a thing as forgetting that you're not really Spider-Man, and that's where things go awry. It's lucky I don't take drugs, because you hear about people taking drugs and then jumping off the roofs of buildings thinking they're a Spider-Man. If that happened to me, I can tell you, it'd be very easy to convince myself while I'm wearing my Spider-Man costume and high on drugs that I am Spider-Man, so that could be the end of me, so I better be careful about that. Note to self, either be a Spider-Man impersonator or take drugs. Don't do both. Maybe spend 10 years on each, and then whichever I prefer most I'll go back to after the 20 years. I don't know. Anyway,
Into your head.
do you wear shoes? You probably do. I've been doing some demographic research into my listeners, and I've come to the conclusion that many of you wear shoes. So next time you need shoes, go to my new affiliate shoe store. Just go to intoyourhead.com and click on the shoe ad down the left, and you'll find it links to a shoe store. It's in New York or somewhere. They do free shipping to anywhere in the United States. They have an easy returns policy of some sort. Basically, they sell shoes, and if you buy your shoes from them, I get a generous commission. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. So next time you need shoes, go to intoyourhead.com and click on the shoe ad down the left column. Absolutely fucking fantastic.
Follow Neal at twitter.com/intoyourheadpod and pretend to like him at facebook.com/intoyourheadpodcast.
You are listening to Into Your Head, a listener-supported podcast. Please visit intoyourhead.com/tipjar.
Monkey nuts, that's what they call them. They call them big steaming, shit-eating, piss-piling, monkey-cropping, elephant dung, enthusiastical, what do you call it? What do you call it? I don't know. There's all sorts of things you can call things in this world. You can call anything, pretty much anything. The possibilities are endless and infinite. Well, I assume they're infinite. We don't know in reality whether anything is infinite, because you can't count stuff to infinity. We just assume assume. Once there's an awful lot of them, we just make an assumption. We say, oh, the universe is infinite. Professor Stephen Hawking says, wait, where am I going with that? I don't know. If I say the universe, I automatically seem to say Professor Stephen Hawking without knowing what I'm going to say about him. It's just, the word universe is synonymous for me with the name Professor Stephen Hawking. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be synonymous with that? Everything's synonymous with something. If I look at a fly, that's synonymous with Spider-Man. If I look at a spider, that's synonymous with the right rear view mirror of my car, which has been home to a spider for about 3 years now. In fact, I think the spider transferred over from our old car. I'm not sure. Or was it dead now? I can't remember. Oh, last I heard it was still there. I don't know. Anyway, spiders. What else is synonymous? Well, everything's. If I say everything, then that's synonymous with pretty much anything. You could open up the door now and see whatever's outside the door and say, oh, that's synonymous with the outside world, because it's in the everything's in the outside world except this house. My house is the only place on earth that's not part of the outside world, as far as I can. Now, you might think differently. You might think wherever you are at the moment, some office somewhere in the dregs of a basement in some city somewhere, and you think, oh, this isn't the outside world. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that is the outside world. So you have to bear in mind that different people look upon different things differently because they're looking at it from different angles. If we were both looking at it from the same angle, that would be weird because we're occupying the same space. Although now that you mention it, if you're over there in America somewhere and I come back and you listen to this you listen to this, you'd have to be west. Let's assume for a moment that the earth spins the opposite way around to what it actually spins. And let's say you're in America, on the east coast of America, and you're there for 5 hours behind. I don't know. This doesn't make anyway, suffice to say, the way the earth spins around, and if I'm standing here and then a couple of hours later the earth has spinned a bit around, so you could be in another part of the earth but occupying the same space as me, although that doesn't work because of the way the world moves as well as never forget this, never mind. This is why we leave this crap to Professor Stephen Hawking, because he's got nothing else to do with his body. He can devote his entire time to thinking about stuff, and good for him, isn't it? Well, for some, being able to sit around all day thinking while other people operate your limbs for you, isn't it absolutely great? That's the welfare state for you. Absolutely fucking. This is what Margaret Thatcher died for, supposedly. She's there. They're burying her today. I'm recording this on the morning of former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's funeral. They're going to put her in the ground somewhere. They're going to wheel her around like a corpse on the back of a thing, and they're going to give her military honours. They're going to shoot her and make sure. That's the privilege you get when you're one of these VIPs. They give you military honours at your funeral, which means they shoot you just to make sure you're dead, so there's no fear of you waking up underground like you're one in Kill Bill. Of course, that privilege is reserved for the rich and famous. The rest of us don't get that. The rest of us just have to hope to hell that we're dead when we're buried, or else hope that we're not dead and that someone knows that we're not dead and we don't get buried. There's no happy medium at all. Incidentally, every time I say there's no happy medium anywhere, either here or on Twitter, someone responds and says, oh, I know a happy medium. I know a medium who's very happy. She writes for the Daily Mirror in England and her name is Mystic Meg or something, or there's some crap like that. It's always the same. You say happy medium and someone says, I know a happy medium. Oh, that's a great pun. It's a great pun. It's pun-tastic. That's what it is. People are obsessed with puns, especially on Twitter. They go, oh, here's a pun. Here's a pun about a nun. That's not a pun. That's a frigging rhyme. It's a childish rhyme. I can do childish rhymes. I've written several childish rhymes, although some of them are a bit vulgar for children, but they're still the rhyming element of them is childish, but the content isn't childish. That's why they'd be no good as a children's poem set. But suffice to say, that's not the point. Anyway, two childish puns walk into a bar. One of the childish puns goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, I'd like a pint of whiskey. Let's hope it doesn't make me frisky. And the man behind the bar says, that's a bit childish if you don't mind me saying so. And the childish pun says, are you fucking serious? I'm talking about drinking a pint of whiskey and getting frisky. What could possibly be childish about that? And the barman says, no, I'm not talking about the content. And also you seem to have just accidentally removed your pop filter screen, so there's going to be a bit of noise when you reattach it. Hold on a minute. There we go, that'll do for now. The man says, no, I wasn't talking about the content. I meant the rhyming element of it is childish. And the childish pun says, what's childish about things rhyming? It takes quite a bit of intellect to get things to rhyme sometimes, you know. I know there are some simplistic rhymes like bat and cat and mat that are quite easy to do. But no, this is quite sophisticated. And the man behind the bar says, I suppose you have a pint there. A pint of whiskey. Oh, you have a pint of whiskey. In fact, although you don't, because I think you made an error there when you asked for a pint of whiskey, because whiskey doesn't come in pints. I suppose I could make you up a pint, but it would take about half a bottle and it would cost you about €20. Do you want €20 worth of whiskey in a pint glass? And the rhyming pun says, €20 in a pint glass, might as well just stick it up my arse. And the man behind the bar says, well, that was quite good, but not as good as your last one. You had too many syllables in the second line, so it doesn't really scan. And the rhyming, whatever the hell the customer is, says, oh, sorry, that's fine, I suppose. I'm not here to get a critique of my work. I'm here to order a drink. And the man behind the bar says, oh, okay, fair enough, here's a pint of whiskey. And the thing, whatever I said, what did I say it was? A childish rhyme. The childish rhyme says, oh, thank you very much, here's some money. And the great night has had my own.